Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to have you here with us. We are going to have an amazing session. We don't start for about 10 minutes, but we thought we'd have a little fun as people join us and get started. We're just going to give it a minute or two, but we're going to play a fun game of Would You Rather as we get started. And we're going to ask that you participate with us by sharing your answers to the link that you see up here. This is the same form that we're going to use this entire session. So it's good to get it open now and have it open on your screen so that way you can answer questions and participate with us and let us know if you need anything along the way. So if you want to go ahead and open that up now, that would be awesome. And we'll start with our first question in just a moment or two, but we're so excited to have you guys with us here today. We're going to have an amazing session with Mari and do some fun learning and some fun activities. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, Katie.
It's going to be great. Hopefully you guys are navigating. Make sure you're just typing the link in exactly as you see it. No capitals, it's all lowercase, so it hopefully should be very quick and easy to open. And we're going to wait just about 30 more seconds and we'll do our first Would You Rather question to get us started. And don't worry, these are just fun questions. We're just having you get the form open and share with us. So that way you have it ready to go live, and we can also just have a little fun and learn a little bit about each other along the way. So Mari, if you're ready, let's get started with our first Would You Rather question.
Sweet. Here's a good one to get us started. Would you rather run or walk?
Oh, I like that one. And just before we start diving into answers, make sure that you have our page form open. It's again linked right here on the slide for you. So you can go ahead and start sharing your answers with us. I know personally me, I love to walk. I go walking every day with my two puppies, and it's like my favorite part of the day, just to kind of get outside and go for a walk and take a break from, devices and work and just enjoy the outside. What about you, Mari?
I feel the same. I have to be careful not to say that W word too loud, or my dog will think that we're doing something, which we have already done today. But I agree. I like just like taking a break and getting outside. I'm really lucky. I live near the beach, and so a lot of times we go walk at the beach too, which is quite lovely.
I love it. That's awesome. We have some people joining us already. So exciting. We have 2 for running and 1 for walking. I love it, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts around that. I'm so excited. Ooh, we have another walk that just popped in. So thank you guys. Shout out to Maxim, Tyler, Zoe. We have some really great responses coming in. So thank you guys for joining us. So we had another walk just join us. So awesome. I love it, you guys. So how about we go to our next question, Mari?
Sure thing. Would you rather play an outdoor sport or an indoor sport?
Ooh, that's a fun one. I think, for me, I kind of like them both for different reasons, but also for different seasons of the year as well. But I thought this would be a fun question just to see preferences. I have to say, if I had to pick, I would probably pick outdoor, just again, for like when I was liking to walk outside. I like to do sports outside when I can as well.
Yeah, definitely. Weather permitting too, right?
Yes, weather permitting for sure.
Although where we are, it's outdoor weather.
Yes, exactly, right? Exactly. Yeah. We have some more people still kind of jumping in. Ooh, let's see. We're having an overwhelming response of outdoor. Only a couple indoors so far. So we have definitely a lot more. Sarah is outdoor. Nathan is outdoor. Gabriella, thanks for joining us, everybody. That's so great. I love that you guys are sharing. We do have a couple indoors though, so it's not a complete landslide for our outdoor sports. We do have some who like indoor, and a couple more. Sophie and Felicia are indoor as well. So great responses, you guys. I love this. All right, let's go to our next question, Mari.
Would you rather do jumping jacks or run in place?
Ooh, that's a good one too.
This is foreshadowing of what we're going to be doing in a little bit too.
Right, I know. I couldn't help myself with this one. I am more of a running in place kind of person. Not that I don't love good old jumping jacks, but if I had to choose, it's definitely a run in place for me. What about you, Mari?
This is a tough one. I think I like jumping jacks. I think I like them to get my heart rate up pretty quick. Makes me feel like I'm doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I get that. Totally. So far, we have 2 for running in place. Thank you, Lily. I love it. You guys are awesome. Running in place is, you know, it really, it's kind of a personal preference. I think they're both fun. Running in place is just what I like to do. I actually do it regularly inside, especially because where I live, it gets really warm in the summer. So often it's a lot of exercising inside for me in the summer. But we definitely have some people coming in with jumping jacks though. Lots of lots of people. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that with us. So I would say right now we're probably about a 50-50 split from jumping jacks to run in place. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing that with us. Let's go to our next one, Mari.
All right. Would you rather do sit-ups or push-ups?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I'm going to go with sit-ups. Again, it's something I do a lot more regularly than push-ups.
I definitely don't have as good of upper body strength, so push-ups are tough for me, so I will go with sit-ups also.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand. I think push-ups are good, but for me, they're harder. But some people think the opposite, and that's fine too. But they're both equally, I think, kind of important to do. We have some responses coming in now. We have someone, Lily is joining us on the sit-ups. Would you rather? But then Tyler is push-ups. So we're definitely having kind of again, a 50-50 split between our push-ups and sit-ups happening here. So thank you guys for sharing with us. Oop, I think maybe sit-ups might be taking the lead now. So definitely kind of a mix. Thank you guys. Thank you, Madison, for joining us. Thank you, Sarah and Sophia. Nice to see you all on here. Wonderful. Okay, I think we have time maybe for one more, Mari.
Sounds great. Would you rather fly a kite or ride a scooter?
Ooh, that's a fun one. I like to do both. I think they're both really fun activities, but I think that right now I would choose fly a kite because it's been really windy at my house too.
I think I would too. And I guess if I picked ride a scooter, it'd be like not one of those electric ones. The electric ones go so fast.
Right.
So I like a little slower pace.
Totally. I agree. So let's see. We have responses coming in. Oh, scooter seems to be the really popular one. I've only seen one kite. So scooter is definitely the winner in this round. And I love your responses. I love that you guys are joining us. Thanks for participating in our Would You Rather this morning. I think it's been a fun adventure. We're going to be getting started in just a minute or so. Oh, we did actually have another fly a kite response. I love it, Gabriella. Thank you. But definitely ride a scooter has won this round of Would You Rather. So this was fun. I appreciate all of you guys sharing your answers with us and just jumping right in to be here with us. So thank you all. This has been so much fun. You guys, we're going to have an amazing session with Mari, and she's going to have some really fun stuff happening. I will be here and you're going to hear from me, but really Mari is going to be sharing everything with you. We're so excited to have her here. So Mari, are you ready?
I am so ready. Let's do this.
All right, awesome.
Alrighty. Let's switch up here. Perfect. All right, so welcome everyone to our Getting to the Heart of Data Collection co-taught lesson. We're so excited to be with you today and share some fun ways to collect data. So here's who we are. I'm Mari. I am in San Diego, California. So it's quite warm. Well, today actually was raining, so it's not always sunny here. And I'm joined by my good friend Katie, who's just about 2.5 hours northeast of me. So welcome, Katie. Thanks for being here too.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Awesome. And so for you all, Katie will be here checking over all the responses and passing them off to me. For all our teachers joining with your class, if you type stuff in the Q&A, Katie will see it. But we will be using that form that we shared earlier, and we'll post again to collect all of our responses. So if you need anything, let Katie know. Otherwise, let's get rolling for a whole ton of fun this morning. As we get started, I just want to acknowledge that I am coming to you from the Kumeyaay territory, which is in Southern California and Northern Baja California, which is part of Mexico. And so I feel very lucky to get to be on these people's lands. And it's been also a great learning experience to learn more about them and visit some of their sites to learn more about them. You can see the map up there, so you can see where it's squared in blue. That's where both Katie and I are, kind of in that region. And so, yeah, that's where we are. That's where we're coming to you all from. We're lucky that we get to put this session together with our friends at Cobblestone Collective and partnering up with Microsoft. So big shout out to both of them for making this session and this lesson possible. And so let's get started. Our plan for today is to look at how our heart works. So I'll do a very, very quick overview of the human heart. We're going to be collecting data on ourselves. So we're going to be collecting our resting, active, and recovery heart rates. And then we're going to be graphing our data. We're going to be using technology tools to do this. So we're going to be collecting our data in Excel and creating our graphs in Excel, which is super duper fun, great way to practice that data collection and graphing skills. So let's make sure that you all have this response form up. So if you already have it open from the Would You Rather, awesome. And if you don't, get yourself open a tab and go to thecc.page/TU2A. And in that form, I want to know, what do you already know about your heart? Get our brains thinking. Katie will pass off all these great responses to me.
Absolutely. We've had a few of our wonderful friends say hi, and they're so excited to be here with us. So I love that you guys are jumping in this form and just checking in. And yeah, we'd love to hear what you know about the heart. Absolutely. I feel like I'm going to learn so much from this session. I was so excited to be here and to do this right alongside all of you guys today.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to know. I wish we could do a whole hour just on like the anatomy of the heart and how it works, but I'm going to give you a very, very quick version.
All right, so we have some responses coming in. We have that our heart beats, it pumps out blood, it helps keep me alive, it's red, squishy. Let's see, a lot of our students are sharing that it pumps blood and it's very important, and that it helps keep them alive. And then sometimes the beats can go fast or slow. Some really great responses. I love it.
I do too. Our heart is such an important organ. We talk about it. We talk about loving things. We talk about, oh, in my heart, I feel this. And, that's kind of a metaphor for our heart being kind of what gives us life and what pumps our blood through our body. So our heart is part of the cardiovascular system. I know it's a tricky science word if you've never heard it before, but cardio meaning your heart and vascular meaning all of your veins and arteries that take blood throughout your body. Also, our lungs are part of that as well, which we'll get to in just a moment. But this beautiful diagram of the heart, I like it because it shows arrows that show the direction of blood flow. So don't worry, you don't have to memorize this, but in case you're interested, blood comes into the heart from the body and it goes into our right atrium. And you see there's like kind of two little, I don't know, it's a valve, but you can see it's shown in white. So you have your the valve that separates the atrium and ventricle. So it opens to allow some blood to go through, and it goes into the right ventricle. That right ventricle, so your heart is a muscle, it squeezes that blood out and sends it out to your lungs. When you take a deep breath, that's your lungs breathing in oxygen and sending that oxygen into your blood. And then that blood is pumped back into the left atrium of your heart, gets squeezed through the valve into the left ventricle. That left ventricle squeezes really hard and sends that blood out to your whole body. That's a very simplified version of how your heart beats, but it's a very, very important process. So your lungs and your heart are working very closely together. Oh, I guess this GIF got a little small into the presentation mode, so I'm sorry about that one. But one thing to know is that your blood is not actually blue. We use it in models to show deoxygenated blood, so blood that doesn't have any oxygen left. In models, we show as blue, and then we show red as oxygenated blood. And so just that's a big misconception we see a lot too. So you can see this in this teeny tiny GIF. You can see just the direction of blood flow throughout your heart. So super duper cool. That was heart anatomy in about 2 minutes. If you're super interested in this, I highly encourage you head off, find some videos later after our lesson and learn a lot more. There's some really great videos out there that really go through this process very simply. There's also some that go into much, much more detail about all the different parts of your heart and how they work together. So jumping kind of more into our data side of our heart and our heart rate, what are some activities you enjoy that increase your heart rate? So thinking about physical activities, there's other things that we do that increase our heart rate, like if you get scared, your heart rate goes up, but we're talking more about physical activities. So maybe you like to go for walks, maybe you like to go for runs, maybe there's a specific sport you play, maybe it's just chasing your dog around the house, which is something I do all the time. Maybe you're rolling around, at the park, different things that you like to do to increase your heart rate. So Katie will share out some of your ideas.
Yeah, we have some really great ideas. Exercise. Melody loves biking, running, swimming. Nathan loves football. Bob is all about sports. So I think these are all great responses. Tyler loves to run. So we have great responses. Oh, skating, playing soccer. I love it. These are all great ideas of ways to increase your heart rate. Rolling on the floor. I mean, that does it too. I think that's a really great response.
I mean, yeah. Katie, have you ever gone rolling down a hill?
Oh, I have, and it's so much fun. Yes. When I was a kid, there was this big giant hill right outside of our elementary school. And there was a group of us that like once a month would go, and that's what we would do. And I'm not even joking. It was so much fun. Other great responses coming in: rollerblading, mountain biking, ooh, chasing my dog. I love that. I take my dogs for walks every day. Riding on my bike with my dog. That's great. Ooh, laughing. That's a good one. That's another fun way to increase your heart rate if you're maybe laughing really hard.
I love it. Those are all so
Yeah,
much fun.
absolutely. I love it. You guys have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great. Those
Yeah.
are awesome. Thank you for sharing, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for sharing so many cool ways. This is a poster that for my students, it's up in their where they do physical education. So maybe you've seen a kind of a heart zones chart. This is, it's not really looking necessarily at your heart rate, measuring it with like beats per minute, so how fast it's beating, but just in terms of like what you're doing and how you feel about it. So I use this personally when I'm doing physical activity. So like blue is easy, I can talk and it's comfortable. So like I'm just sitting right now. So I'm definitely in the blue zone. Usually walking my dog is in the blue zone. He's tiny, so we don't generally go too fast. Yellow, more moderate, so that's usually walking without the dog. I can talk, I can, be with a friend, I can have a conversation, and I can still, like, it's still comfortable. And then hard, that red zone, I can't talk comfortably. So where I live, there's a lot of hills. So walking up the hills, I'm definitely in that red zone if I try to keep going at that same pace. So it's just an easy way if you're doing physical activity to kind of keep in mind um, where your heart rate is kind of in these three different zones. But we are here to actually calculate your heart rate. So heart rate is a number of times your heart beats each minute, and we measure it in beats per minute. So maybe if you've ever been to the doctor and they put the little heart rate monitor on your finger to measure pulse oxygen, so how much oxygen is in your blood, and also heart rate. You see a doctor using a stethoscope to listen to your heart, and they also can collect how many beats per minute your heart is beating. So we are going to practice finding our pulse. It's going to be a very important skill as we get into the data collection, is being able to find your pulse. So I'm going to do it with you a couple different times to help you get an idea of how to do this. So there's two easy ways to find your pulse. You can either do it on your wrist. And so you see the picture in the bottom left is somebody so make sure you're using your two fingers. Don't use your thumb. Your thumb actually has its own pulse, and so it can interfere with your data collection. So use these two fingers. And then if you're looking at your hand and your wrist, you kind of go down your thumb and find there's a little indentation between your wrist bone and your tendons here. If you feel it there, you might be able to feel your heart rate. You just sit really still and you'll feel it. So give it a good feel around. Try moving your fingers to different places to see if you can find it. Or if you prefer, you can use your neck. So kind of like where you feel your jaw, where it kind of goes into a almost L shape here. You just go right below it and hold still. You can feel your heart rate. If you can't feel it, make sure you kind of move maybe a little further back, a little further forward. But you have it takes a little bit of practice. Don't be scared if you can't find it. Just try moving your fingers a little bit more to one of those places. Maybe about 30 seconds to find your heart rate either on your wrist or on your neck. All right, we're going to practice finding our heart rate. We'll do it a couple different times. So if you miss one of these, it's okay. We'll get through it and it'll be fine. So I have a little trick for finding how many beats per minute. I will use a stopwatch and I will count for 6 seconds. I'll do that silently. So I'll tell you when to start. I'll give you a 3, 2, 1, start, and then I'll tell you stop. So for those 6 seconds, you're counting how many times do you feel your heart beat. Then we're going to multiply that number by 10. So if we do it for 6 seconds, we multiply by 10, that gets to our beats per 60 seconds, which is 1 minute. So that's just a little trick for being able to quickly find our heart rate. For my older students, if you're in kind of an upper grade, you can always do 30 seconds and see, but just, in the interest of time, I find it so much faster to get an estimate by going the 6-second route. So that's what we are going to do. So we'll do 3 practice rounds for right now. So I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, so whatever number you got, multiply that by 10, and that is the estimate of your heart rate. Remember the trick, if you add a 0 to the end, so if you felt your heartbeat for seven times, multiplying it by 10, you would get 70. If you felt it beat 8 times, that would be 80. All right, we'll do 2 more practices. So find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. Awesome. So same process, multiply by 10 to get your practice heart rate. All right, and 1 more practice round. So again, find your pulse. And give it a 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, and you got your heart rate. So again, multiply that number by 10, and that is your estimate of how many beats per minute you felt your heart beating.
Mary, I just wanted to share, we did have some students sharing their numbers with us, and that's awesome,
sweet.
everybody. We have some students are giving us the number they counted in the 6 seconds, so don't forget to multiply that by 10. Some of our students are giving us the number multiplied by 10. For example, we have some 70s, some 80s, and then we're also seeing some 9s and 10s. So great work, everybody.
Awesome. That's great. And remember, there's no shame in your heart rate. You remember, everybody's individual body works differently. Our hearts, some beat a little bit faster, some beat a little bit slower. And so, kind of anywhere in that range is definitely awesome. And if you're really not sure, that's a great time to talk to a medical doctor. If you're like, oh, I don't know, because we can't give you those kinds of advices, but great job, everyone, so far. All right, so we are going to make a hypothesis. We are scientists, so we are going to make hypothesis. If I increase my activity level, so in a little bit, we are going to do some physical activity to collect our heart rate. What's going to happen to your heart rate? Is it going to increase? Is it going to decrease? Or is it going to stay the same? Because, and then fill in, why do you think this? So we'll give you a minute to post your hypothesis and make sure it is a complete sentence. So we don't want to just see increase, decrease, or stay the same. We want to see the whole sentence. If I increase my activity level, then can you fill in because and why do you think this? Give you 1 minute for that, and then Katie will read off some responses.
All right, don't forget, everybody, please make sure you give us your full sentence right here up on the screen for you. So far, we have one that thinks it's going to increase, and we have two that thinks it's going to lower. But this is why we need your whole sentence, everybody, so we can also know your why.
Yeah, that reasoning right there is really important to get our brains thinking.
Absolutely. So we have one response that my heart rate will increase because your body is getting excited.
Awesome. I love that that's a complete sentence, and I love that they included a justification of why they think that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So high five to you.
Absolutely. We have another one that says, if I increase my activity level, my heart rate will go up because your heart is pumping more blood in the body.
Great hypothesis. Thank you. About 30 more seconds to get your hypothesis in.
We have some students sharing that they believe it's going to go up, but they're really just not sure why, and that they're hoping to learn why after this activity.
Hey, that's awesome. It's totally okay in science to not know.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of science where we say, I don't know, but I'm ready to learn.
And then we have one that if I increase my activity level, my heart rate will go up because my body needs more oxygen.
Great hypothesis.
These are great answers, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sweet. Well, let's jump right into our data collection. So you are going to make a copy of the data table. So this is an Excel file. So you go to thecc.page/heartdata. Make sure you have a capital H and a capital D in there. So you'll open that up in Excel, and then you'll have to save your own copy of it. I'll give you a minute or two to get that going. And this will be our data table for the lab. Open that up, go to thecc.page/heartdata, and you're going to get yourself an awesome data table. Your data table will look like this. So you see resting heart rate, active heart rate, recovery heart rate. So we're going to be using this for our data collection this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. If you're not sure how to make a copy, if you click File and then Save As, you can do download a copy. Once you download a copy, you can open yours up and use that. The reason we're doing this in Excel is I love it because it'll do the math for us. We can use some tricks to have it do the math for us, which definitely saves time, saves effort, and just all around, well, I like the efficiency of it. So maybe for some of you, this is the first time, maybe you're looking at a spreadsheet, but maybe adults in your life that use spreadsheets daily for their work. So it's definitely a good skill to know that you can use these tools to help you organize, collect and organize and analyze data. Awesome. So we are going to get started. So I'll go back over to our slides really quick. And then I will model, oopsies, oh, it played from the beginning. Well, that was silly. There we go. So this is our data table that we were looking at. So you have your resting, active, and recovery heart rates. You see how it says trial 1, trial 2, and trial 3. So we are going to collect our data 3 different times. So we'll do resting heart rate. I'll do it once, we'll do it again, we'll do it a third time. And then we will find the average of the 3 trials. So I'll talk about what average means when we get to that point, but we're going to be doing it 3 different times. So just like we did before, we will collect our data for our heart rate. I'll do the same thing where I give you a 3, 2, 1, start. You'll do your heart rate for 6 seconds and then multiply it by 10 to put it into your data table. So I'll be on my data table so I can model it with you. All right, so trial number 1. Go ahead, find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, so whatever number you got, you're going to multiply it by 10 and put it into this trial 1 box. So since I got 8, I will multiply it by 10 and my number is 80. All right, and we're going to do trial number 2. So now find your heart rate. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, so same thing, whatever you got, multiply it by 10 and you'll put it into trial 2. Alrighty, and trial number 3, find your pulse and go 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, and put that number in also. So now you should have data for all 3 trials. Now, I know that maybe somehow I went too fast on one of them, or maybe you just didn't quite find your pulse in time. So in case you missed one trial, I'm just going to give one more opportunity if you need to collect your data. If you got trial 1, 2, and 3, you're good. Nothing else you need to do. You're welcome to practice just for fun. But for anyone that missed a trial, we'll do just a quick makeup. So 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. Awesome. So now you should have all 3 trials in there. We're going to save the average for when we're all done. We'll calculate all 3 averages at the same time. So don't worry about that for right now. We'll come back to that part of our data. At this point, we are going to do our active heart rate. So let me explain to you the procedures for active heart rate, and then we will collect our data. So I will put up a timer for 30 seconds, and you are going to do jumping jacks for 30 seconds. If you don't quite have the space to do jumping jacks, then you could march in place or run in place for 30 seconds. If you need to modify for any reason, then find an activity that is comfortable for your body that will get your heart rate up. So for example, if you have a foot injury right now, jumping jacks or running in place might not be the best option. So I trust you to find something for your body. It could be as simple as standing up in your chair and sitting back down multiple times. Find something for your body that works. You know your body, you know what is safe and comfortable for you. But if you're all good, then try jumping jacks for 30 seconds. I will put up a timer for 30 seconds. We will do our activity. When the 30 seconds is over, I will do the same thing. I'll say find your heart rate or find your pulse. I will say 3, 2, 1, start. I'll give you the 6 seconds and I'll tell you to stop, and then we will fill in our data for trial number 1. So we are going to do a 30-second timer. There we go. Alrighty. So if you are ready, get yourself into position. You need to stand up next to your device. Make sure if you're in a room with other people, you're not going to accidentally smack them. You know, if you're doing school from home right now and your sibling is right next to you, you know, jumping jacks might not be the smartest thing. So maybe you run in place. So make good choices and let's get going. So 30 seconds starting now. I'm just imagining all of you doing your jumping jacks. It's so much fun. When I do this in my classroom with my kids, I'm doing the jumping jacks right with them.
I was going to say, I have the same image going in my mind as you guys are all running in place and getting active.
Yeah, I definitely see I can imagine a lot of giggles.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, that was your 30 seconds. So find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, so we'll come to our data, and in trial 1, you're going to write down what number did you get. So remember multiplying by 10. So I'll put in my data. I did this yesterday, so I had data in mind. Definitely saw an increase there for me. Alrighty, we are going to repeat this 2 more times. So I got my 30-second timer. So again, you might have to stand back up, get back into your little exercising space. And you're going to do that same exercise activity for 30 seconds. All right, so ready and begin. All righty, find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, and back to our data. Remember, you're taking how many times you felt your heart beat, multiplying it by 10, and putting it into trial number 2. Great job, everyone, so far. We're going to begin trial number 3 in just a few seconds. So go ahead, get up, find your exercise space. And get ready to start. All right, and stop. So find your pulse. Ready, 3, 2, 1, start. Great. So our third trial, pop in that data. And again, we're saving average until the end. So now we're going to, you can sit back and relax for a few minutes. If you missed a trial, I'll do one more bonus for you. So if somehow you missed it, I'll do another 30 seconds. If you got trial 1, 2, and 3, then now is your time to just sit, rest, relax. If you want to share some of your data in the form, go ahead, but I'm going to do a bonus trial for anyone that missed a round. All right, so if that's you, no worries, it happens. And we are going to get started. So if you need this bonus, go ahead, stand up, get to your exercise space, and start. Alrighty, now find your pulse. Give it a 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. Fantastic. So if you need to fill in one of your trials from exercising, go ahead and do that. Katie, did anyone share their resting or active heart rate data?
Yes, we had a few students share with us, but I think that they're forgetting to multiply. So don't forget to multiply that number before you're putting it into your data chart.
Awesome. Yeah. So no matter what, so for example, on trial 3 for my active heart rate, I felt my heart beat 14 times. I multiply it by 10. So I added that 0 to get 140. So yeah, make sure double check your data table. Now is a good time to make sure that all of your numbers end in a 0. Awesome. So if you got 13, multiply by 10, 13 times 10, add on that 0, you get 130. If you got 16, multiply that by 10, that'd be 160.
Yes, we have some students submitting their answers now with that 0 at the end. Good job, everybody. And we have some students who are sharing with us that they had a really good time exercising. They're also maybe a little tired at the moment too.
I know. But hey, we know that it's good for us.
Absolutely.
I know maybe you thought that you were gonna join this lesson and you got to sit back and relax for an hour, and here I am putting you to work. But it's such a cool thing, to be able to actually feel your heart rate and being able to calculate this. I think it's so much fun to see it about your own body. I mean, you could use my data, but that's not fun. It's so much fun when you get to use your own data. I know maybe some of you have some wearable technology. Heart rate monitors have been around for a long time, but now, a lot of us have, or might know somebody that has like a wearable watch that calculates your heart rate for you, which is cool. But being able to do it yourself is also a really useful skill. All right. So I know we've been kind of settled back down for a few minutes now. We will do our recovery heart rate. Ideally, it's about 5 minutes after, but I think we'll do it now. It's been about 4 minutes since we did our trials. So for recovery heart rate, we're doing the same thing. We'll do 3 trials. You'll find your heart rate, and then you will put it into trial 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead, find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, so remember whatever number you got, however many you counted to, multiply it by 10, and you will get your heart rate. So I felt 7 beats and multiplied it by 10 to get 70. All right, and we're going to trial number 2. So find your pulse. And 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. Alrighty. So again, same thing. That time I felt 8. So I multiply by 10 to get 80. All right, and we're going to do trial number 3. So again, find your pulse. We are going 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. All right, same thing. Whatever number you got, multiply it by 10 to get your beats per minute. Awesome. So now we have our, oh, I forgot. I'm going to give one more bonus just in case anyone missed one of those. If you got all 3 trials, then you can sit back and relax for the next 30 seconds or so. So if you need a makeup trial, go ahead and find your pulse and give it a 3, 2, 1, start. Stop. Great. So if you needed to put in that makeup, go ahead and do that. So now that we have our data table complete, it's time to find our averages. Remember the procedure to find your average. If you were calculating average by hand, you would add up each piece of data and then divide by how many numbers you added. So if for my resting heart rate, I added 80 plus 70 plus 80, then I would divide that total by 3. So if you want to do it in a calculator or by hand, go for it. But I'm going to show you how to use Excel to do formulas to find that average. So I'm going to click into the cell that says D3 under average. If you've ever played Battleship, it's just like that. So cell D3, that's where I'm going to be. Then I'm going to come over up to the menu. You see it has it looks like a sideways M. So if I click on that, it's actually a sigma, but if you look at the sideways M, the little drop down, I have the option for average. So I'm going to click where it says average, and it already guessed that I wanted to find the average of these 3 cells. If yours doesn't guess for you, you can always click and drag those 3 cells. Oopsies, I messed up. There we go. Click and drag those 3 cells, click enter, and it did the math for me. So it told me my average was 76 point, repeating 6 beats per minute. Yours might be different, and that's okay. Remember, everyone's body is just a little bit different. So again, I'll show you how to do that again. You click on cell D3, come up over here to the functions, the sideways M, otherwise known as a sigma, the drop down, and click average. Mine guessed what I wanted. If yours doesn't guess what you want, you can click and drag to select those 3 boxes and click enter. You're going to do the same thing for active heart rate and recovery heart rate. So we're going to find our 3 averages. So for this next one, I'm highlighting box D7, so the average for active heart rate. Again, I'm coming up to my functions up here, click the drop down and pick average. And then it already guessed, same thing. Yours might already guess for you. If it doesn't already guess for you, you can click and drag. And so you can see it says A7 colon C7. That's just the way Excel shows a range. So A7 all the way to C7, and then click enter. And I found my average for active heart rate. I'll show you that one more time with recovery heart rate. Again, I click in the box where I want to put my average. I come up to the drop down. I come over to average, and then I can click and drag the cells that I want to average. So I have my trial 1, my trial 2, trial 3, and I click enter to get my average. Awesome, everyone. So I'll just wait another minute and a half or so for you to get your averages. And just one more time in case anyone needs it one more time, how to find average. I'm clicking in the box where I want to find my average. I'm coming up where you see the sideways M, the little drop down, and I click there and I go to average. Mine auto highlighted. If yours doesn't auto highlight, you can just click and drag those 3 boxes, 3 cells, and click enter or return on your keyboard, and then you've got your average in there. Awesome. So now we're going to make a graph of our data. So we found our averages, which is awesome. But I think it's really helpful when we're looking at data to also make a graph. So you see this gray area over on the right-hand side. This is what we're going to use to find our averages. So I'm going to round my average. I don't want to write this whole long decimal in my resting heart rate average, so I'm just going to say 76.7. So I'm rounding to the tens place. For my active heart rate, it was just 140, so I'll leave it as is. And then my recovery heart rate, I had the same thing. It was a repeating decimal, but I'm just going to do 1 decimal place. You're welcome to round to the whole number, so if you'd rather do that, that's fine as well. But we have our data here. So this is just kind of a condensed version of the data we have. So let me give you about 45 more seconds to get your data there before I move on to your graph.
We did have one of our students, Jack, share the recovery average of 76.3.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jack. That's great. Oh, it's great to know how your data turns out. and that you were able to calculate it too. So high five, Jack, for getting that calculated. Hopefully you all found this, oh, cool, how cool, I can use Excel to calculate things for me. All right, so now we're going to create our graph. So I'm going to highlight these gray boxes, so my heart rate average and then the resting active recovery data here. I'm going up to the insert menu, and then you see you have a chart here. It's called a clustered column. I call it a bar graph. You know, we're achieving what we want. So I'm going to click on that, and it made this really cool graph for me. So I know we all, learn to graph on graph paper, but being able to quickly create graphs using web tools is awesome. So it has a title, it shows me my average, shows me my resting, active, and recovery heart rates. So let me show you that one more time. I'm going to highlight so make sure you do highlight the data you want to use, otherwise your graph might show other things. I'm going to highlight these things. I'm going to go insert, the insert menu up here. You see I have a nice bar graph. Excel calls it a clustered column. We're going to call it a bar graph, and just kind of move it so it's right below my data table. So I have my resting, active, and recovery heart rate. So pretty cool to be able to do all of that, just with a technology tool. I'll give you another minute to create your graph, and then we'll talk about what we think our data means and what we noticed. So. All right, everyone, hopefully you have a really cool graph of your data that shows your resting, active, and recovery data. I know if I were graphing this by hand, it probably would have taken me about 5 minutes to label all my axes and draw in my bars and color them in and give it a title. And it took me less than 30 seconds to do it in Excel. So it definitely makes these nice professional looking graphs. All right, and let's talk about our data. So we calculated our averages. And so now I want to know what happened during, oopsies, sure didn't like that. Oh noes. Do over. All right, so in the form, there we go. I want you to share with us, so again, the cc.page/tu2a, what happened to your heart rate during and after exercise? We're excited to see what you came up with. What happened to your heart rate during and after exercise?
Can't wait to see and hear your responses in our form. I could see from Mari's chart what happened to Mari's, but let's see what happened to all of you.
Yeah, excited to see what happens.
Me too.
If you're not really sure, like how to word your answer, just tell us, did your heart rate increase? Did it decrease? Did it stay the same?
I think everybody's still working. It kind of seems like that's okay. That's awesome too. Even if you don't have that beautiful chart already made, if you want to just share with us looking at your numbers, what did you notice? That would be great too.
Any responses coming through yet, Katie?
Not yet. I'm guessing all of our wonderful students out there are still working, maybe. We'd love to hear any thoughts from any of you. If you guys want to tab over to that forum that hopefully you still have open and share anything, even if you're still working on it. We would love to hear what you noticed. Did things go up? Did things go down? What did you notice through all of that fun excitement of getting active?
Yeah, this is probably our last question of the morning too, or of the afternoon for some of you, as we're wrapping up. So definitely would love for you to hop over to the form. Even if you're not done creating your graph, come back over to the form and tell us what happened to your heart rate during and after exercise.
In our final few minutes, we would love to hear from all of you.
It helps if you would rather talk about my data. I'll put up my data in case you want to talk about what happened in my graph. Did you notice about the active and the recovery heart rates?
While we're waiting, I noticed that you had a nice little spike in your graph in the center of that chart there, Mari.
I noticed that too. I noticed that when I got active, my heart rate went up. And then after recovery, for me, after about 5 minutes or so, I noticed my heart rate came back down, just at pretty much to the same level that it was at my resting heart rate.
That's really interesting that after being active that it, came back down relatively, I feel kind of quickly.
I think so too. A lot of times when we exercise, we do a warm up to kind of start getting our muscles warmed up, kind of getting our heart rate up a little bit. And then a lot of times when we do exercise, we do a cool down also, which helps kind of settle our muscles back down, kind of prevent injuries and also help bring our heart rate back down to that resting heart rate. So definitely good things to notice.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. Let's see, I'll leave this up for you all as we end, but thank you all for joining us. It was a whole lot of fun. If in the forum you want to share something fun you learned, something interesting you learned, or something cool about this lesson, go for it. But we are going to end our live co-taught session in just about 30 seconds. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for participating, for having a blast with us, getting your heart rate up. Maybe next time you do a sport, you'll kind of keep this in mind and give it a try. See what happens when you're actually doing a sport, what happens to your heart rate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mari. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. I learned so much and had fun getting active with all of you. And thank you all for your wonderful participation. I hope you all have a wonderful day.